Haunted by the chilling fear of eternal nothingness, Julian built a sandcastle, a fortress against oblivion. But as the tide rises, a little girl arrives, challenging his despair with innocent joy. Witness his struggle against time itself and discover how he learns to embrace the beauty of fleeting moments. You'll understand how to find peace, not in forever, but in the present's dance. The beach stretched out like a canvas of grey and gold as the sun began its descent. Julian knelt on the cold sand, his fingers digging feverishly into the wet earth. He was building a fortress one grain at a time, trying to fortify himself against a fear that haunted his every waking moment. This was no ordinary sandcastle. It was his bulwark against the relentless fear of eternal nothingness. The thought of fading into oblivion pressed on his chest like a suffocating weight, and he desperately sought to create something that would endure. He worked with an intensity that left no room for rest or joy, each grain packed with desperate urgency, every detail honed with care. If only he could build something to outlast time itself, maybe then he could defy the void. As the waves whispered nearer, Julian's eyes darted anxiously to the horizon, as if expecting time itself to collapse. He couldn't shake the feeling that the ocean, like the void, was relentlessly encroaching. Suddenly, a small voice broke through his concentration.
Mister, what are you building?
A little girl stood nearby, her cheeks flushed with the rosy glow of sunset. She had a curious sparkle in her eye, and a small bucket filled with sand and shells by her side. Without waiting for an answer, she plopped down beside him and began stacking a lopsided tower of sand. Julian's jaw tightened as he watched her informal construction. When a gentle wave snuck up and lapped at the base of her tower, causing it to wobble dangerously. "The water's coming," she said cheerfully, swirling an arm in the air. Julian snapped. "Quick, help me! We have to stop it!" He plunged his hands back into the sand, frantically digging his moat deeper, trying to hold back the tide. But the ocean was unyielding. A strong wave surged forward, washing over the outer wall of Julian's fortress. Sand tumbled away, pile by pile. Panic rushed up like icy water in his chest, the same dread that kept him awake at night clawing at his throat. His carefully constructed defences were failing. Nearby, the little girl's tower dissolved in a swirl of foaming water. But she didn't cry. Instead, she clapped her hands and, "It's gone!" she exclaimed, eyes shining. Julian's heart felt hollow. As he stared between the ruined fort and the joyful girl, "Why are you happy?" he asked quietly, barely understanding how anyone could delight in loss. The girl pointed at the wet sand. "Because now we can build another one tomorrow. The building part is the most fun." Her words were simple, yet they echoed deep within Julian's troubled mind. He looked at the sand around them, glistening in the last light of sunset, the soft roar of the gulls overhead, the cool breath of the ocean wind, the fleeting beauty of the moment passing too fast. He realised his life had become a battle not with the present, but with its end. He had been so consumed with fighting time that he had forgotten to savour the joy of creation itself. As the last remnants of his fortress slipped beneath the tide, the overwhelming anxiety that once gripped him loosened. The fear began to recede with the ebbing tide. Instead, a warm, gentle feeling bloomed within him, the memory of something beautiful crafted with care, alive for just an hour. It was enough. Julian watching the little girl gather another handful of sand. He felt a lightness he hadn't experienced in years. "Can I help you build your tower?" he asked. The offer came freely, without anxiety or expectation. "Yes," she beamed. Together they knelt side by side at the edge of the ocean, ready to create. Together they built again, without worry or fear, letting the tide come and go as it pleased. The building part became the whole point. They learned that sometimes the beauty of life lies not in lasting forever, but in the joy of making something meaningful, even if only for a moment. The great nothingness was still there forever at the edge of time, but for now Julian had found peace in the dance of the present. He had stopped looking over his shoulder. As the stars began to glimmer, Julian and the little girl looked at the finished castle and felt content. "Do you think it will last forever?" asked the little girl. "Probably not, but that's all right," Julian responded. They both smiled and went home as they learnt something new today. From that day forward, Julian was no longer afraid of nothingness. He appreciated everything and lived his life to the fullest.